Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for access support. Any kind of updates, usually I go about on Twitter X. Later today, hopefully, we'll get a Planet of Lana episode. I did already manage to correct the title here. It is the sixth episode, not the fifth. It was the copy paste issue there. Yeah, and we got already completed gameplay series here, 1080p, the older ones, 4K, the most recent ones after the building my current PC system there. Other than that, not a lot of news. Yeah, no updates regarding the channel, sorry. So let's go straight up to the news again. Um, got another milestone of 3 million players on Assassin's Creed Shadows again, trying to blindside and give I don't know, obfuscate between players that interacted with the game and the number of sales, trying to merge those numbers as one. This came after I think it was on Twitter or something like that, at least social media channels. Okay. And then they also had it again. This is kind of a marketing ploy here. Second highest day one sales revenue in Assassin's Creed franchise history. Again, doesn't mean anything. Biggest Ubisoft day one ever on PlayStation Digital Store, whatever. And best community ever with over 40 million hours already played. Again, doesn't mean much. Mainly by the fact that again, with 3 billion players interacting with the game, again, we got as already mentioned quite often, we got Xbox Game Pass. That's how it is, and even the Ubisoft Plus program. Again, those games, and we saw a lot on Twitter X also, they giving up game keys for people to play. So again, basically, again, it's might not be huge amounts of inflationary numbers there, but it still, as a whole, it will aggregate in terms of what they can inflate in terms of number of players, trying to make it seem it's 3 million sales. Again, it was never in doubt this game would sell relatively well. The problem is it's not going to be, and was never going to be the I don't know, the savior that Ubisoft needed to be. And I even already mentioned also to have a minimum chance of, I don't know, have a savior status. They had to sell like around Black Myth Wukong numbers, which is something that it's going to be impossible, especially in the same time frame with that game there. But yeah, again, and this came also $1 million sale on launch day. Again, I'm not really sure about that, but okay, we'll have to trust that, or take it as in face value, which is not that much, and supposedly reaching 2 million units on March 22. um, Whatever. Again, this is again, and even on my issue with this is that these gaming sites and people that cover this, I don't know what's the deal with being a company fanboy or fangirl. It doesn't do any favors. Again, me as a customer, I don't have feelings per se of being attached to a specific company. I usually do trust that the at least on the company side of things regarding gaming, in the gaming industry, I trust more the record that they have, but still always cautious when they launch a product, because at the end people tend to forget with these kind of companies. The same thing can be, to a certain extent, can be said with the console war. People, even for example Apple versus Android phone stuff there. Again, at the end, they are a company. They're just trying to sell you a product for the highest price possible. And sometimes, or usually, they will try to sell the worst product possible for the most amount of money, and they will do through tactics from marketing, this fanboying kind of a groupie stuff there, to try and entice people to buy that product at that price. I'm very always cautious. That's why I never pre-order games, even for example from software, which was the only case that I did in my life, was pre-order the Shadow of the Earth 3, but I already bought the game and played the game there, so I took a chance there. And also by the fact that at the time I was streaming the game, and I didn't want to lose my footholding on diving on the DLC when it launched. That's basically one of the main reasons there. But other than that, I never pre-order anything, and I usually the, avoid and usually don't buy the deluxe editions of or anything higher than the base game, unless there is already there is some reviews on that extra content, or even if it is on a deal that compensates the extra little bit of extra money, and maybe there is some added value on that for the game itself for me to enjoy there. And usually I do tend to highlight that on my gaming deals. But yeah, uh, this as an overall, it's basically obfuscation, and trying to appease also the shareholders, which, funny enough, Ubisoft tends to speak more regarding stakeholders than shareholders. Again, any kind of company or public traded company, I don't think they should cater to stakeholders, because that's um, I don't know. It's not the real thing here per se. The company has a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, because shareholders are the ones that put their money in the company as an investment, and then they expect, of course, a return on investment by the end of the year. Um, while stakeholders, supposedly it's other than the shareholders, or supposedly they include also shareholders on the stakeholders there, which to the extent that I don't think, and I know that there is no fiduciary responsibility of a company regarding stakeholders. Again, this is a made up, basically a made up term. But yeah, Assassin's Creed is not going to be the savior. They talk about here that it's got so far positive feedback, which is true, at least on Steam, around 82%. Again, this game has, as seems the consensus in terms of the engine itself, and the fact that they were not stranglehold by the fact of launching this on previous consoles. They managed to push around a little bit more in terms of graphic fidelities and the RTX stuff there, and the technology itself of the engine seems pretty good. Some of the gameplay loops and mechanics around the game seem to be enjoyable, or a little bit above the average of a Ubisoft game. But then again, characters, dialogue, the English audio is a shit show in a lot of cases, completely off sync. Even some facial expressions are seem to be off. A lot of robotic facial expressions, again, comparatively to games older than the Sanskrit Shadows. Again, there was a lot of stuff that they did miss on point there. And of course, characters and story, it's the weakest point. It's a consensus there. Again, Yasuke, and even Nanwed, which is the better of the two, it's not very well rounded character per se. Again, with all that said, as you can see, even the player base is already dipped below. Again, it had worse numbers than Dragon Age the Velgard, which is saying a lot. Suppose in terms of owner estimations, and I will assume this is owner estimations on Steam, almost around 500,000 copies sold, supposedly, or at least owned, because again, they were delivering free copies of Steam keys. So you have to take it that with a grain of salt. So we can even roughly estimate around 500,000 copies plus 500,000 copies on PlayStation, and probably on Xbox. Again, that's my assumption there. But yeah, this is to lead to the fact that, as some rumors indicated in the beginning of the year, and I think even by the end of last year, there were some rumblings that probably, because they were, I don't know, reading the tea leaves, that this game will not sell what they needed to be to sell. They really did establish a new subsidiary company, which basically is to, um, again, the overall strategy here, if there is one, is cut the losses of what it's now Ubisoft main. They created basically a Ubisoft two to a certain extent, and they took, I don't know how much Tencent was fooled by this, but they are going to have a minority stake of 25%, and with that they need to invest around 1.16 billion euros for that. The company as a whole, I think it's around almost $5 billion. They will take the most valuable IPs as Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six brands. Yeah, and basically that's it. Overall, they created the Ubisoft 2, with $5 billion, I don't know, valuation, 25% stake from Tencent. Um, they took only at its time the most valuable IPs, to try and I don't know. We'll have to wait what it's going to have, how this will develop. But yeah, basically trying to delve deep more on the details here. Again, again, this is was activated because, again, they're already on the plans here from Ubisoft, because they saw the writing on the wall that this, again, 2 years, give or take, of not selling games that cost around, at least $300 million. There were some rumblings that even Skull and Bones was around almost $800 million. Again, and you don't sell games that cost huge amounts of money. Again, you're bound to have to close the doors. And I think they did manage to, with this kind of corporate shenanigans, basically cater a little bit and see if they can last a little bit longer. I assume at least this plan is to be concluded, the formation of the company with all the details, the corporate details, and then, because there's going to be development teams, they're going to be switched from Ubisoft to Ubisoft 2, let's say, to continue to work on the ongoing projects. I don't know if they are still developing a Far Cry or even a Tom Clancy Rainbow. I think there is the Rainbow X, or whatever it is they are working on still. So they are going to be transferred, those development teams at least, plus all the I don't know, the accountants, the HRs departments. Supposedly they're going to be transferred to this new company, and they will have supposedly this, I don't know, $5 billion, 5 billion euros, sorry, of I don't know, money to, until the games are finished. That's my assumption there. Again, the quotes here are completely, I don't know. It's the corporate talk as usual. They say they determined this transaction is the best value for its assets and approved the proposition today. Again, regarding the announcement, they are going to they did here. And again, they say nurturing the development of iconic franchises, as what we already discussed here, accelerating the growth of top performing titles and leveraging disruptive technology on selected new intellectual properties. Again, it's a lot of corporate talk. They cannot go straight to the point as usual. Um, and it continues here with Yves Guillemot, as we accelerate the company's transformation, which is basically layoffs and shutdown of a lot of studios for sure. A fundamental step in changing Ubisoft's operating model, which is basically the same thing, saying the same thing, both that will enable them to be both agile and ambitious. Again, it's the same thing. Is there are going to be a lot of layoffs in the meantime. For sure, they will cancel some projects, lay off a lot of people, shut down some studios here and there to try to save costs, for the to look good on the sheet balance there. And again, referring here to the Ubisoft 2, with the creation of a dedicated subsidiary that will spearhead development for three of our largest franchise and the onboarding of Tencent. Again, I think they're only waiting for Tencent Go for them to announce this and create and start the whole process there. As a minority investor, we are crystallizing the value of our assets. So they are trying to cut down the losses of their IPs and put at least the most what they consider the most valuable on this new company. So it doesn't have any negative perception in terms of the IPs they are going to transfer here. And then continue here, strengthening our balance sheet and creating the best conditions for these franchises. Again, they are trying to clean everything, the slate. So they will cut down a lot of people. They're going to only transfer the people that they will consider to be most valuable for working on these IPs and leave the rest, if not on the Ubisoft one, maybe outright cutting the losses there. And again, they continue transforming these free brands into unique ecosystems, which is a very worrying thing here. I think they're going to double and triple down on games as a service as much as they can, and microtransitions as much as they can. Because here we said we are committing to build a sharper, more focused organization, which goes aligned again, cutting jobs. And lead innovation, next generation technologies and services. Again, services here as game as a service. It's basically that what they are saying here, all with the goal of delivering enriching, memorable games that exceed players' expectations and create superior value for our shareholders and other stakeholders. Again, as you can see, there is a difference between shareholders and stakeholders. Again, stakeholders usually refers to ESG stuff there and all of that jazz. But then we got also from Tencent President Martin Lau. Basically, it's kind of almost in line with that. We are excited to extend our long-standing partnership with Ubisoft through this investment, which reflects our continued confidence in Ubisoft's creative vision and exceptional talent to drive sustained success in the industry. We see the immense potential for this franchise to evolve into long-term evergreen game platforms and creating a new experience for gamers. Again, this comes about because again they see the potential, but they really know with this kind of statement, they really know that this last couple of years were not that good, and maybe clean up a little bit the IP, trying to get around and do some shenanigans with microtransaction and monetization of the games. Probably they will have good potential on in terms of money by the end of the day, which their worries, not usually from the developers that working on the games. That usually I have to assume that developers that work on the game, they want to deliver a good experience for the players. But yeah, and there's also some stuff here interesting here regarding what is going to happen here. Basically, the new subsidiary, so Ubisoft, to will include teams developing the franchises there. There are some studios here that they were mentioned supposedly from Montreal, Quebec, Sherbrooke, Saguenay, Barcelona, and Sofia. As well, the backlog catalog or back catalog and any new games currently under developer or to be developed from these IPs here. Again, supposedly Ubisoft 2 will be granted by Ubisoft a worldwide exclusive irrevocable perpetual license in respect of intellectual property and similar property rights owned or licensed by Ubisoft. So basically, they're with this, Ubisoft 2 will have a license. They will not own the IPs. So basically, they will have to pay a license fee to Ubisoft. So this is trying to balance the sheet of the investment of the 5 billion euros. And they will let, supposedly, again, even though it's Ubisoft 2, it's trying to, I don't know, basically, it's trying to fool. It's those kind of financial tricks that that companies usually use, which is create a new company, deliver the licenses, rights for that company, while the company that it's formed, which is Ubisoft 2, is going to have to pay the fees from the licensing of those franchises to Ubisoft 1, so they can try and balance the sheet. And to try and balance the sheet on Ubisoft 1, they will have to cut a lot of expenses there for sure. Supposedly, again, Tencent will invest, so they have to put the money there in the new subsidiary, so Ubisoft 2, which is headquartered in France and 100% owned by Ubisoft immediately prior to the transition. Again, reinforcing Tencent 1.16 billion euro for around 25% stake there. It's going to be, again, as I said, used to strengthen Ubisoft balance sheet. Completed of the transaction is expected before the end of 2025, so this whole thing will be wrapped up before the end of the year, supposedly. And again, the new subsidiary, so Ubisoft 2 will have a dedicated leadership team supervised by a board of directors. Again, somebody has to make some money out of this. I will have to assume that if Guillemot or somebody from the Guillemot family and the usual suspects will have a place there to get their salary there, which is how usually these guys make money. It's having being on board of directors all over the place. But yeah, this is the confirmation that Ubisoft is failing. Um, I'm not sure if this is going to be like a bandage on the situation of Ubisoft, or if they are going to try and completely remedy the situation in the sense w- they will use this as a strategy to justify huge layoffs because they have 20K employees spread all over the world. And I don't know, as you can see here, I showed here yesterday also, they have just for this game, they used 15 studios almost. So they have, I don't know, 30 studios or something like that from Ubisoft, 20,000 people. Yeah, they will have to cut a lot to try and mitigate the bleeding in terms of money. And the problem that I think that is going to be a bandage solution by the considering how Ubisoft is the fact that they are going to try and use Assassin's Creed, um, the Far Cry, and again Rainbow Six Siege. Again, these IPs are going to, if not outright, they're going to try and put more monetization on those IPs in the upcoming games to try and compensate all of this shit show that they made for themselves. And I'm not seeing huge any kind of uplift in terms of quality of their games. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see. I will try to follow up this the best that I can. But yeah, again, if you want to check this article, there is a lot of more legalese around this, which, from what I read, didn't seem pertinent to the point that I wanted to make, which is Assassin's Creed is not the game that they thought it will. They hoped it will be, and even with all the throwing up all those numbers of concurrent players or how many players played the game, again, by the end of the year, by the end of the day, it's not money that it's entering on the company itself. There is also regarding this situation while I'm talking. Uh, there is a lot of people trying to sell the game while streaming the game itself. Again, they must be paid by Ubisoft. Also, again, Ubisoft. Even on my cell phone, when I watch YouTube videos, from time to time, there's Assassin's Creed Shadows. Uh, the the ad breaks there, which indicates that again, and I don't think they are going to recoup the money that they invested on this game, at least by this year. I think we'll, and even because the game is already mainly broken on what they are trying to cater, which is the stories and the characters. Um, I don't see this game having great numbers at the end of the day. But yeah, that's what I got here from Assassin's Creed Shadows. Again, shit show, and with that, it's kind of the final straw on the back camel of Ubisoft of at least a couple of years of very poor launches and very poor games overall. And yeah, they finally managed to break and going to launch Ubisoft 2, and we'll see how that goes. In terms of other games, supposedly, again, this is kind of an insider kind of a thing. So at this moment, take it with a grain of salt. Supposedly, Hogwarts Legacy Definitive Edition is cancelled, was cancelled by WB Games. Um, Supposedly were developing this version for the Hogwarts Legacy, so as an add-on. And supposedly a few months ago, insider Tom Henderson wrote that Hogwarts Legacy Definitive Edition was scheduled to launch 2025 with around 10 to 15 hours of new content, with a price of around between $20 to $30 for owners of the base game. And however, um, they canceled because supposedly Warner Brother Games was concerned that the amount of new content will not be enough to justify the price. And instead of them maybe lowering a little bit the price and trying to make more sales out of that lower price to justify the content that they are creating, they just outright cancel again. Might as well, if you did, I don't know, at least 60 to 70% of the job, you just fine tune the things there, lower a little bit the price, and make some sales out of it. If they are going to really cancel this, they are it's just wasted work and time on this definitive edition. But yeah, um, that's it from Hogwarts Legacy. We'll have to wait and see official confirmation if it's going to be canceled or not. Then we got from Liza P. We have a little bit more of a tease here from it's the game director of the. I think it's yeah the game director. Sorry. Supposedly it's going to last this overture. Where is it? I know I did highlight it here around 20 hours or so for people that are already experienced on the game itself. It did some comments on Night Ring, which is interesting. They thought it was refreshing and new, said the director. Again, this game, Liza P, is very much inspired or takes inspiration and from Elden Ring or Dark Souls kind of games here. But again, the fact that they found the Night Rain very refreshing new, the DLC and the main game will completely be full single player action game here. But yeah, interesting stuff here. I'm not sure if there is a launch date. Hmm. I know I read this, but yeah, I think this year, from what I understand, from the information that I've been getting throughout this last couple of weeks, it seems that it's going to be launched at least by the end of this year. But yeah, it's going to be something that is going to last around 20 hours or so. I think it's going to travel to the past before the events of the main game. And the story itself is going to wrap up in a sense that it's not going to affect on the have any kind of influence on the main game. So they try to put it compartmentalize the DLC in that sense, which is very interesting. Again, I still need to buy and try this game to see how it goes. But yeah, I'm very interested in playing this game. Then on other stuff, we got the first Berserker Khazan, excellent game from all the reviews that I've been seeing here. Is going to get his first free DLC in May. New Balance patch has already come out supposedly and includes skills and bosses adjustments. What else? Yeah, additional updates featuring some specific improvements will also be released in the near future. Some of them as early next week. Again, I think this first patch is trying to balance gameplay stuff there, and I think these updates featuring some specific improvements have to do with I don't know, PC performance or console performance in that sense. But even though the game seems to go pretty well, does pretty well in terms of frame rates, from what I understand. Even though I think it's an Unreal Engine game, but I think it's pretty much good in that sense. There, we got also how this calls Echoes of Yi Samsara um, announced PC requirements again. Doesn't have a huge amounts of PC requirements, but then again, I have to assume this is 1080p, 60 frames maybe, or 30 frames. At least that's a perception that I get because a GTX, which is not a GTX, is a RTX 2060. There is some typo here. Yeah, the CPUs, iCore i5 2500K or even Ryzen 5 1400, very old CPUs. Again, I think this might be provisionary. The game seems interesting. I watched the trailer on the Steam page there. I will try to keep it tabs on it. Seems interesting. Kind of. I think the game focused more on Sekiro kind of gameplay stuff there. It's more about parrying and deflecting than anything else. But yeah, Chinese culture there. Got to visit the supposedly um, uh, again, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, an archaeological site that exists. But yeah, very interesting. I will keep my tabs on it and see how it goes. And continuing with the theme, we got Wuchang Fallen Feathers is going to release this summer. We didn't. We only had a year, which was around this year, but now we have summer, probably August or something like that. Again, this game, I'm very curious about this game. Very interesting what they're trying to do here. But yeah, this year, probably this summer, we'll have the launch of Wuchang Fallen Feathers. I just hope it is a pretty good game. At least it seems so, from what I saw. Then we got here the Eternal Life of Goldman. We'll launch this holiday, so near Christmas, I assume. This is a very interesting game. I watched the. There is a video here of the extended gameplay trailer. I really do enjoy this kind of games, hand drawn, kind of a hard style, art style here. Yeah, it's a platformer with some puzzling stuff there, and yeah, I really do enjoy this kind of games to try out this one, and this seems to be an interesting one on how to go about there. When it launches, I will for sure cover this, or if you have more information about the game, I will try to cover the best I can there. And then lastly, we got the Precinct. Will launch on May 13. Again, this seems like to be the reverse of a GTA game, which is you are a policeman. Supposedly, you evolve throughout your career. In this latest video that they launched, there is some abilities that you can upgrade there. It's kind of a sandbox, kind of detective, kind of or policeman kind of a game there. A very noir 80s style, kind of a style here. I think you basically do missions. You can put fines on park cars, kind of those stuff, solve crimes, respond to emergencies. This kind of the anti GTA kind of a thing here. Very interesting. At least what they're trying to do here. It seems to have like a little story for your character, but yeah. I will have to wait and see how this goes. I got it wishlisted on my Steam account. But yeah, I will try to see if this game is really good or not. Since it was announced, I was interesting because mainly of the setup of the game itself, and again, 80s noir 80s. It's one of those reminiscent of Dirty Harry movies and all that jazz. Hopefully, this is a good game. But yeah, this is what I got for today. Let's go for some gaming deals. We got Mud Runner. 80% off. Again, this is one of those that you more navigation. This is not a racing game. This is kind of going around doing some missions here and there, transport stuff, unlock the stages and the rides. Very interesting. It's more technical than a racing game here. We got also Hogwarts Legacy, 75% off. We got also Atomic Heart. It's on sale again, 67% on all of the editions, which is interesting. We got No Man's Sky 60% off, which is always good to see. I covered yesterday the latest update, which is Relics. We got Mutant Year Zero. I can recommend this game at this price point, 70% off. The deluxe edition is a pretty good one. Edition as a DLC for the story, and if you're not aware of this game, you can check out the first episode of the gameplay series that I made there. We got Children Morton on GOG. This is the complete edition, 76% off. We got also God of War, 60% off. Again, this game I can recommend on GOG. Again, there is no shenanigans of online activations or any kind of that stuff there. Then we got Limbo, excellent game, 75% off, very cheap. The same thing for the spiritual sequel from the same guys that did Limbo. 75% off. I did play this game. I managed to claim it for free from Epic Game Store, and I did enjoy this game. Then you got also the Invincible, which is a narrative-driven first-person experience here, based on a book of Stanislav Lou, if not mistaken. Um, I think it's Stanislav Lou. Again, it's based on this book. Very, I think it's kind of sci-fi, hard sci-fi, or soft sci-fi. Again, but yeah, this the second edition seems to be a pretty good game. And yeah, basically that's it for today. So I'm a little bit sorry if I was a little bit off track here and there. But yeah, I'll wrap up here with the plug my Patreon for extra support. This access support is more aligned for me to try and get around and find a better storage solution so I can have backups of the stuff that I do for my clients, and of course some extra storage for the videos that I make for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next one. So until then, Kunami Master out.